Hey everyone, Will Hankey here. Thanks for joining us today on the broadcast on the Navigate the Rapids broadcast. Today my guest is Caren Libby. Caren's eclectic background in project management, sales, and marketing gave her a broad level of experience in a variety of businesses. In 2008, she started Image Media LLC, a company that provides web design, marketing, and photography services. By the way, I've seen some of your photography. It's just phenomenal, really good.
Thank you.
Caren works with clients to help them build a comprehensive online marketing plan that supports their company goals in and the image they want to project. Caren, thanks for coming on today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Good, good. Well, I'm excited to have you on today. We've known each other on and off for many years, just seeing each other in various networking events and things like that. But I wanted to have you on today to kind of talk about businesses on their online presence, how you can help businesses and see the overall picture. But before we get started on that, let's talk about you said you started your business in 2008. Tell me a little bit about what was going on prior to that instigated the business getting started.
Well, prior to 2008, I had had several years of experience in corporate America. I worked for two large corporations in St. Louis that were in completely different industries, and my role in one of them was as a project manager, and in the other one was in sales and marketing. So I have a broad level of experience in that area, and that gave me a lot of insight about overall corporate strategy for projects that we were working on, as well as what it's like to work for very strong leadership. So I try to incorporate a lot of that into, the services that I provide on a regular basis with small and large businesses.
That's terrific.
And in addition,
go ahead.
in addition to that, I lived in California for 8 years, and 7 of those years I spent as a manufacturer's rep. I was the liaison between large manufacturers and small business owners, mostly retailers, and I was able to discover what it was like to be in their role as independent business owners, some of the challenges that they face that were very different than corporate America, much more personalized and close to their clients. And I learned a lot about marketing from that experience in addition to sales. So that probably was even more important than my corporate experience. All of it together has helped me a lot in what I do now.
Yeah, it's really cool how the different pieces have all worked together to bring it to the point of, I want to start my own thing. So what was the catalyst that had you start your business in 2008?
It was a combination of the passion, desire to do it. When I finished my college degree, which was fairly late in the game, one of my greatest goals was to start my own business. I thought at some point that would be an incredible experience, and it was really important. So when I became a manufacturer's rep in California, I basically was an independent contractor and had my own business, even though I was associated with some big agencies out there. So I had a taste of what it was like to be my own boss, basically. So I took my passion for photography and decided to start my own business in 2008 for a couple of reasons. One was to fulfill that goal. The other was that was when the recession was in full-fledged, and I was no longer working for a big corporation, had a decision to make about my future, and decided, hey, it's a good time as any to get going with it. So I started with the photography business and built the marketing services into it, and ultimately began building websites for clients.
Interesting. Well, I'll tell you this: the downturn in the economy in 2008, 2009, and 10. As a marketer, that was probably the best years that I had, because suddenly everybody had to be in front of clients. It wasn't so easy, to get in front of people. Plus, they didn't have a lot of money to spend on all this crazy advertising that was going on prior to that. So that was a good timing for you.
Well, it was good timing. I think it formed a lot of character in a lot of people. We really found out what we were made of during those years. No matter what our level of experience was, even if you're somebody coming out of college, here was your opportunity to get out in the game and create your own world. It took a lot of courage, as you know. You feel like you're leaping off the end of a board and just jumping in, but it's that experience that leads you to where you are, and ultimately the success that you want to achieve if you decide to stick with it long enough.
Right, definitely. And I've read that some of the biggest corporations in America were started in downturns of the economy as well, which is a fairly interesting fact. So let's talk a little bit about small businesses and how you help them I know that you had mentioned that you help them with kind of the overall picture. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, as I mentioned, with my corporate experience, I had a great deal of exposure to how important it is to have the right kind of strategy. You know, I was involved in a lot of strategic meetings as a manager, and we discussed every department and all the goals we all had to get to the end result, which was basically to increase sales or to improve our reputation or whatever, you know, the list happened to be. And in order for us to accomplish all the goals within our departments, we had to understand, you know, what to do in our role to make that happen. So I started looking at the projects that I do in web design and marketing consulting from that strategic standpoint, because a lot of clients are focusing on their own businesses. They're not looking at the strategy behind it
Right.
when they're thinking about their online presence. And that's my goal, is to keep them on track with all of that.
Okay, so you help, you kind of take a step back, I guess you could say, and kind of assess the situation as a whole, and then decide to help them which steps they need to take going forward to start their marketing plans.
Well, yes, and when someone comes to me and says, I need a new web design, or I don't have a web presence, I need to get started, what I do is I take what I understand from what they've told me, and I break it down into 8 different categories. So we go through a workbook that has very specific areas that need to be addressed before I can start building their website. And the website leads to a lot of other online, I guess you'd say, tracks, you know, from the website that include the social and email marketing and so forth. So until I understand where they want to go with everything based on their business goals, it's difficult for me to you know, help them create this website project that will meet those goals.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So when they decide they want to do that, what is the most important step that to take when a client needs to improve their online presence?
As you mentioned, it's about stepping back and taking a look at the whole picture, sort of a 360-degree view of the business in itself. And quite frankly, this is the most difficult part, because it requires a thought process. It requires decisions to be made. It requires, you know, a focus that sometimes they don't take but need to in order for them to move forward in their business in general. So we cover so much territory. There's a lot of detail involved. But by the same token, let me say this. I help them through the process by making it as simple as possible. And the way I do that is by taking it in chunks, you know, and addressing these different areas. And some areas they have a lot of presence already, some they need more. And when we get through that process, then we can take it and run with it. You know, it becomes much faster and simpler at that point.
Yeah, I've come across that same thing when somebody would call me for, you know, I want to be at the top of the search engines for such and such term. And, you know, I'll go look at their website and find out that it really needs some love, you know, before we can even start trying to rank it. You know, so a lot of times there's that, wait a minute, we need to take a step back and look at everything first. So that's terrific that you offer those sort of things. How do you help your clients see the bigger picture? You know, is there problems with clients who like when they call me, I just want to be at the top of the search engine, and that's kind of where their focus is. So how do you help them see that entire bigger picture?
One of the things that I sort of bring to the party as a photographer and sort of an artistic visual view of everything is I kind of paint pretty pictures first. I think we're so visual that I lay it out in kind of a visual aspect so that they can see, you know, the circles and the colors, and then we can fill those in later with the detail and the content, because as we get deeper into the weeds, that becomes more complex. So once I get through the workbook that I provide and we address these 8 different areas, I have a real clear understanding, I believe, of where they want to go, at least to get started. And it isn't until I start building the infrastructure of the website that they can see. That's that pretty picture I'm talking about. And I've had a lot of experience with a lot of different clients, so I can build that pretty quickly once I get a good grip on what they're looking for. And then we can start filling it in with all the details that they need done to fulfill their goals.
Okay. I'm assuming you build on various CMS systems. How do you build websites on what platform? I guess is the question.
I utilize the WordPress platform, and the reason I do that is I began blogging as a photographer in my own business in 2008 and absolutely fell in love with the entire system. I thought it was easy to manage, very user-friendly. It had a lot of different possibilities. And as I got deeper into it, I began to explore what it would be like to build an actual website on it. And I took a lot of, tutorials and did a lot of practice with different themes and different hosts, and I just got better and better at it. So, and then I started working with real small businesses, and eventually evolved into working with large businesses, including large corporations, one of which I used to work for. so,
Oh,
so
nice.
it's been a great building process, a very synergistic experience. Let me say, WordPress for many businesses, large and small, has evolved so much that you can build almost any type of website on it, including shopping carts and so forth, as you well know, Will. And I can, again, take that strategy and all those components and have WordPress, I can mold WordPress into the tool they need to make that happen.
Yeah, you really can. I'm a huge WordPress fan. Just love it. Uh, Tell us what's some of your favorite plugins for WordPress. I know I didn't prep you with that question, but let's see what you got.
Well, I have a list that I really use on a regular basis. Anti-Spam Bee is one of them for spamming. I have, I think it's advanced TinyMCE. WordPress has a great rich editor built in, but it's missing some components that I need to customize, and that one is one of my favorites because I'm so visual. I really enjoy that one. I use, I think it's WP Optimize for optimization, and also WP Total Cache. Some people may not understand what those are for, but they improve the functionality of the WordPress system, and you're able to customize them to your customers' needs. I also use one called I think it's Updraft Backup, to back
Oh
up the
yeah.
websites on a
Yep, big
regular
fan.
basis. And some of them make it prettier, and some of them make it just run better. So, there are some favorites that I use on a regular basis, and sometimes clients have specific needs. Another is sometimes Contact Form 7 if they want to use a contact form that is fairly flexible. You can tie it into certain email forms as well. I mean, it just depends on what they want. But I find that using WordPress.org base themes and the plugins have such infinite possibilities, and that's the magic, putting that puzzle together to make it work for them.
Yeah, definitely. What was the spam one that you said? Anti-Spam Bee? Is that it?
Anti-Spam Bee,
Oh,
yes.
interesting. I've never heard of that one.
It's I like it because you don't have to go any extra steps like you do with some of the other ones that
Yeah.
are provided with WordPress. It just kind of simplifies the process, and it works very well.
Oh, okay. And is it free?
Yes, that's the
Oh,
best
that's
part.
yeah. The Akismet that comes with WordPress, they started charging for that a while back, and yeah, it used to be free, but not so much anymore.
Well, and all the ones I've mentioned are free. So, that makes them extra nice. It's amazing what you can do with plugins. It's just really an incredible, the whole system that WordPress uses is phenomenal. And also, I didn't mention this before, but, a lot of my clients are tech savvy. A lot of them aren't, but WordPress makes it fairly easy for them to understand once we go through the initial training. So that's
Yeah.
a huge plus.
Yeah, I think the days of businesses having to call their web designer to change the phone number or to change something, I think those days are pretty limited. There's no reason that business owners can't log in, and especially with WordPress. I mean, can you write something in Word? Yeah, then you can probably do something in WordPress. It's really easy to get in there and change things without having to call a designer that might fix it 2 days later. That kind of thing is gone.
Well, once they understand it, I think some of them feel the way I did when I first started out with it. It's like, this is a great program. And I've had a few
Right.
people even go on to do more things with it. So, it's an introduction to another world that can enhance their business.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's great. Tell me about what other kind of unique services that you provide.
Well, what makes my combination of services unique is that because I have such a broad experience and background in the kinds of clients I work with, both as an employee and also as an independent consultant, and just being out on my own, working with other people, trying to help them with their businesses, helps me from a strategic standpoint. Because I can see it from the big and small picture, I can identify with what they're going through and yet understand how important it is for them to see what's needed to make it work best for them. The other thing is, I, as a professional photographer who has decades of experience, professionally 7 years, see the visual part of the website in some ways that maybe other web designers or developers don't see it. I see the picture before I even build the infrastructure. And I often, in probably 75% of the cases, take the pictures of employees, their staff, like in a doctor's office, I do their facilities, sometimes products. So that just adds something that they don't have to go to another vendor for. And it also gives me a lot of potential to advise them the best way to bring that visual desire to life, so that people who see their website understand what it is they're trying to provide for them.
Very cool. What percentage of people would you say have a predetermined what they want their website to look at, and how many people just say, you know what, we'll do something?
I would say about 75% of the people I work with have an idea. Most of them already have a website. They just want it to be updated to match their current business message and goals and look and feel. There have been a lot of changes that have occurred in the last few years in terms of web design, particularly in the mobile area. People are looking for more responsive sites. They want more white space. They want more user-friendly formats. So I think, I can take what they've already created and then go through the workbook with them, come up with some ideas, and then build something very quickly that they can relate to, that makes them feel like, they have a current presence and a strong online presence that can enhance where it is they're trying to go with their business now. Because as we all know, everything changes. And the beauty of being in this business is that it's a never-ending challenge to keep up with everything. So we want to keep people as current as we can.
Yeah, so you do a lot of the redesign part of it as well versus just building a WordPress or a website from scratch. A lot of it is people calling you, asking you that they need it updated.
Well, in many cases, I take an old PHP site and transfer it to the WordPress system and give it a cleaner and fresher look. And I really can't serve them until I understand what it is they're looking to do. Now, that being said, of the 75% of the people that have an idea of what they want, they don't understand the functionality. They don't understand sometimes how the user is looking at it. And throughout the process of working through the workbook, I keep saying, now, what is your target audience or your reader want to accomplish? What is the call to action you want them to take? And I know you're very much into that, Will. In terms of getting you where you want to go with the website. It's not just spreading the message about your business. It's about getting action taken so that you can do business with people. So that's something I always have to remind them about. Yeah. And some people have this like vision of what they want it to look like, not thinking about the actual functionality of it. So I have to build it with that in mind.
Yeah, that's really cool. The workbook that you have, it sounds like it's a terrific thing to kind of open their eyes a little bit more. Somebody that calls and says, hey, we need a new website, maybe what they're really saying is, hey, we want to start making some money off of this website we're paying for.
Well, that's really, I think, the goal that most people have when they build a website. They have something, or in the case of a nonprofit, or maybe they want more volunteers. Whatever their goal happens to be, they want someone to take action. That's how the world works. We know that. So I take a look at, first of all, the strategy, right? And then secondly, the identity, because I can't really build a website without them understanding how they want to look online. So that's really an important aspect of it. And then we kind of take it from there. After the websites, how does it tie into your print collateral, for example? And also in your area of expertise, one of many. The search engine optimization, the analysis of what we're doing so that we know we're on the right track. I mean, it just, evolves into a lot of different areas.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot more to it than just having a new website. Yeah, that's good. So tell me about some examples of things that you've worked on.
I've had the honor and privilege of working on a number of different styles of websites, and the websites that I build are basically on themes that are highly customizable and highly recommended to work in mobile and every other device, that are built under WordPress.org. They're self-hosted, and that's one thing that I have to explain to a lot of clients when I start building, because there are different ways to do it, and that's how I work.
Sure.
So based on that process, I have built websites for credit union. I've done it for, so in the financial industry, insurance company, credit union, I worked as a liaison with a bank website. I've also worked with coaches in business coaching, life coaching, career coaching. So, that's like solopreneurs to, financial, mostly small businesses. I had mentioned that I had built a website for a corporation locally that was actually for their intranet, so that the employees who needed it could utilize it as a tool. I won't go into detail, but that was one of the first websites I built, and it was fairly complex. So I thought, if I can do this, I can take it from here, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I've also built websites for day spas, restaurants, many different types of businesses, done some shopping cart work, not extensively, but enough, to fulfill the needs of certain clients. That's an area I intend to go into deeper in 2015 because there's a higher demand for that. Right. So, if you look at my web portfolio on my website, CarenLibby.com, you can see several of the projects that I've done already, and I'm currently working on about 6 projects right now that are going to go into that portfolio.
Oh, exciting. I think building a bank type website, that's a pretty cool accomplishment.
Well, let me say this. I did not build the website for the bank. It wasn't built on WordPress. It was built on a different system that was vendor approved. And by vendor approved, I mean by the bank regulators. Okay. So, that's another area that you get into, when you're involved in building websites. I was the liaison, and I built a demo on WordPress, and I was the liaison between the client and the actual builder of the project. So my background experience gave me an opportunity to help them with that project, and that's where the marketing consulting part of my business comes in, because I do have experience in that area and several others in the marketing realm to help with, business in general.
Okay. Besides websites, what other kind of things can you help people with?
Probably the biggest thing, in addition to providing the photography for the websites and also for their social media, I get many requests for LinkedIn headshots. That is huge, because LinkedIn is so important to business now. And so I do that on a regular basis, and as I mentioned, for staff and facilities to go on the website. That has been probably the second most biggest part of the services that I provide for my business. And then the other one is email marketing. I help them lay out their campaign with their email marketing, which is closely tied into their website, because that's where the sign up takes place. And actually, the email marketing is designed to drive, potential or current clients to the website. So that it's like a big cycle, and it's important, again, along with that strategy, to figure out how you want to do that to make them interact.
Okay.
So email marketing, a little bit of social media marketing.
Good. Okay. On the email marketing, do you build the template for the newsletter so it matches the website, that kind of stuff too? Oh,
yes. I like working with email service providers that have the capability for me to do that, to make it match, and also to change it up, and for the holidays or whatever. I have a lot of flexibility, as well as a lot of services that are incorporated into the email marketing program, so that I can, surveys and some different things that we can implement that drive the marketing even further, make it more effective.
Yeah. Which email marketing programs do you like or do you use?
I've used several of them over the years. My favorite, without question, is MarketFold. It's a local service provider that has an incredible amount of tools and customization possibilities that have served my clients, and I've used it with several different types of clients. So it's a combination of that robust tool and the consulting that they provide, which is extremely valuable, plus my own background in using email for a variety of businesses. It makes it work very well together.
Oh, okay. I'm actually having the owner of Market Volt on the show in a couple of weeks, Tom. So that ought to be good.
Oh, it will be. Absolutely. He is a master. So I've learned a great deal of what I do now in email marketing from him.
Yeah, he's really good, and he's got some great tips on how to re-engage with people and things like that, which email is very good for doing.
Email, I just read an article recently about the value of email over many of the other tools that are used out there, because it does touch people personally. It's right there in your inbox, and it's consistent, and it's accessible. You know, it's kind of difficult to catch all the news on social media all the time. So, you know, you have that almost personal relationship with the recipient, and that makes it extremely valuable if you have the right message.
Yeah, I had Kathy Sexton on a couple episodes back, and we talked a little bit about email, but email to me is somewhat obsessive. I probably check it more than anything. I check it more than I answer my phone.
Well, it's easy to do. You know, we have access to it 24/7 on our phones and everywhere else, so it makes it that's why it's such a great tool.
Yeah. Really like that. So I'm excited to have Tom on in a couple weeks. Let's talk about some of the websites that you've built, and what would you define as that was a successful or they're having a successful online presence?
First of all, that it meets the basic overall strategy of the company. Now, it takes a while to figure that out clearly. So when it first is launched, it's like if the client feels like it shares the message, the structure is correct, if they're getting good feedback, if they're getting email signups as a result of some of the other things that are driving people to their website. You know, that again, that's that combination of services that are provided that help with the overall picture. The other thing is it's important for them to feel like the vision is correct, that they look at the website, that it comes up quickly, that you see what you need to see above the fold, that the message is getting across in such a way that they are proud of what they're sharing with the world, basically, and that it's, you know, addressing what they feel are their needs. Now, that's just the initial impression. There's a lot more that goes into it over time. It's a building process. I think it's important when we're talking about strategy to understand that it does take time, and that those things can be measured, like in a lot of the services that you provide, and also the feedback they're getting from their clients. Now, that being said, that's something between the client and me. But this whole effort is very collaborative. It's not, you know, it takes a village. It's not one person alone or one client alone. They need to have other people supporting these efforts who have expertise in these areas. And by that, I mean, maybe you get someone who's a branding and identity expert who comes in and works with me because they want something fairly extensive and new look and feel. And my expertise is in understanding their strategy and building the website and coordinating with these other tracks, as it were. But there are other people who have another service to provide them that might be valuable as well.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about your search engine optimization and analysis and other services you provide that might add a level of expertise that a particular business needs to go deeper into. So those are just some examples. The email marketing, for example, you know, more consulting on that area, how to best serve your clients and also build your business based on, you know, strategic campaigns. So the success is based on so many observations from so many different areas, and that comes, again, I'm going to come all the way back to the beginning, the strategy that you start with, and continually, consistently, you know, utilizing that strategy throughout the process, no matter if you're working just client and website designer and or incorporating other people into your process.
Yeah, so you play well with others.
Oh, I can't do it alone. Absolutely. I love the collaborative effort. It's one of the, for me, that's the successful part for my own business, is that I get the opportunity to work with people like you and Tom and Kathy and others who have these levels of expertise that just, make what I have to offer that much more valuable to the client.
Yeah, yeah. So we talked a little bit about plugins that make your life easier. Along with the strategic side of things, do you come across situations where just building the website is saving the business owner time, let's say in a certain area, or there's process use that you can automate things of that sort?
Yes, absolutely. The WordPress system alone makes it easier once they understand how it works. And it's interesting because, a lot of it's just paying attention. The strategy and the building process forces clients to pay attention to their business because
Right.
they're sharing it with everyone else and they're using it as a tool to advance their business. So from that standpoint, it becomes a much more productive tool because they're focusing on areas that are essential to their success. And WordPress makes it easier for them not only to help me build it for them, but to continue to maintain and at points change or update or get a different message across with that system.
Yeah. Yeah. Terrific. Well, so tell me how people can get in touch with you.
My website's CarenLibby.com. I'm at Karen@KarenLibby.com is my email address, and they're welcome to take a look at the website to get an overview of some of the projects that I've worked on over the past couple of years, as well as my photography services. I have several galleries that have my events and special celebrations and portfolios of the portraits that I've taken. So you can kind of see how they work together as complementary services. And I also have an email sign up that includes a download of the workbook. It's a short version of what I work with my clients that I talked about earlier. And that puts them on the email list for my newsletter that has the updates about what's going on in that world. So that's
Oh,
the
wow.
best way to get in touch with me
So they can
and to
grab
help understand what I do.
yeah, so they can grab that workbook or that reduced version of it and at least kind of get an idea of what they're getting into, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I welcome their visits and feel free to sign up for the free workbook and the newsletter.
Okay. And we didn't talk much about the photography. I've seen some of your photography. I think it's great. I'm assuming if somebody in Hawaii needed you to fly there and take some pictures, you'd be able to do that.
I'm actually going to California to take some pictures.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, yes, I'm very happy to do that in almost any destination. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, we're taping this in November. It's fairly cold here, and I'm sure being somewhere warm would be great, especially if you can get paid to do it.
Yes, the Northern California coastline is a great destination. It's for any reason, but that makes it extra special.
Yeah. Well, listen, Caren, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I hope that we've been able to help some business owners with some things, and some of your services are just great. The idea that you can build things on WordPress, love that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share this and to be part of your series. It's fantastic, and keep up the great work, Will.
Thanks. And so everybody can get to your stuff at KarenLibby.com, and that's CarenLibby.com. And like you said, they can go there and download the workbook, the reduced version of the workbook, I guess. And how often do you send out your newsletter?
On a monthly basis.
Okay. Okay. Are you pretty good at that? Because I'm not good at mine.
I'm trying to get better. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to send one out in the next couple of weeks. So look for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to do mine twice a month, but rarely do I get it out twice a month.
Well, that's a big ticket for sure. But yeah, the monthly I think is doable.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's a better strategy for me. So, well, listen, I really thank you for coming on the show today. And if anybody needs to find anything else out about you, like I said, go to KarenLibby.com. thanks everyone for watching the show today and listening on the podcast. I hope that we've helped you navigate the rapids a little better with your business. Take care.
Thank you, Will.